My name is Sean Molyneux, and I'm a co-founder of Apoco Play, and we're developing Alteil Horizons.
So can you tell me about the game and I guess how you play it, things along those lines?
Sure thing. Alteil Horizons plays like a cross between a card dueling game, like Magic the Gathering, and a unit tactics game, kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics. The big difference between a lot of other CCGs that have just like one or two extra elements is that we do not have randomly drawn hands, which means we have the full deck building of a TCG, but then once you actually get into the arena and are dueling, you can pick from any card in your deck. This makes it play a little more like a unit tactics game, where in a unit tactics game, of course, you access all your units. You know what you're deploying or building, or in the case of a Final Fantasy game, they actually all start on the field. So in this case, it's just the resources that you have that's limiting what you can play and when. So you usually have strategies heavily mapped in advance, usually based on what you're planning to be up against, and then you adjust on the fly, because no plan ever works in practice. When the spells start flying, anyway.
So, can you tell me about the inspirations behind the game and why they were like your biggest inspirations behind it?
Sure. Well, I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy Tactics, especially Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, which probably is responsible for a large amount of my life being lost. And of course, I'm also a big fan of Magic the Gathering, and so are the rest of the developers. And actually, the original inspiration for this game was a small Japanese game called Alteil, which is hence the name, which it was released, I think, in 2004, 2005. The earliest code we found was from 2003. But this game was developed by Takuchi Asanuma of Star Ocean and Valkyrie Profile, the writer-director of both those games. And he did it with art from Yuji Kaida, who's did the big paintings for all the Godzilla movie posters and movie covers, and also Hiroshi Oneda, who's the lead artist for Secret of Mana, and Shinu Yamashita, who's a staff artist at Square, who is in charge of weapons and armor for most of the Final Fantasy series, and I think he did the character designs for Final Fantasy X, and he's also did Wizardry Online. And you have a few other big artists, and these are all assembled by Takuchi Asanuma in 2003, and he made a game called Alteil, which did pretty well in Japan, but they never really had the funds to make a polished full game for an American release. Nothing really quite at that scale. And I always was a huge fan of that game, and so recently when I got my own development company, I got in contact with them and asked if I could have the license so I could make a new game with the core game mechanics they had developed and the art. So that's basically what I'm doing now.
Great. So I understand it's in beta. If anyone wanted to learn more about the game, I guess where would they go? Do you have a website or?
Yes. We have, you can go to www.alteil.com, ALTEIL, or www.alteilhorizons.com. And we've got, we're on Steam Greenlight. We're doing pretty well, but we really could use an extra boost. So if anyone wants to vote for us on Greenlight, that would be awesome.
All right, great. Do you guys have at least a tentative plan release for the game?
Well, right now we have a tutorial up, and we also have an NPC battle, and within a couple weeks we probably have multiplayer, and when we have multiplayer we can probably call it an open beta. But we're planning to have a full release, which will also include mobile in addition to web, probably by the end of the summer, depending on how things go.
All right, so when you say mobile, do you mean iOS or Android?
Yeah, both. We've made it portable so we can export to either one. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for talking with me today. I appreciate you telling me about the game here. It was nice meeting you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for stopping by.